Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 19th episode of the Trainers Lounge, the show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. All right, and for today's topic, we are going to talk about organizational development. And it's actually an interesting topic because in our industry as L&D professionals, uh, na-encounter na natin to, no? It's not that too foreign from our industry, and it's kind of something that we work with hand in hand as we develop our clients needs, our company's needs, and whatnot. And here today to help us discover more and learn more about organizational development is a guest who is a graduate of CLDP and also offers this kinds of service. Well, first up, let me introduce some of his experiences. Well, our guest for today is a trainer, facilitator, and OD consultant and or organizational development consultant. He is a certified learning and development professional and also a certified professional association executive. He has 15 years of experience in OD consulting for NGOs, corporations, and government agencies, and also 20 plus years in training development and delivery and facilitation in youth development, leadership and management training, skills building, project management, resource mobilization, volunteer management, human rights, capacity building for NGOs, CSOs, and government agencies. He is also a member of the DSWD NCR Learning Network, or LNET, Knowledge and Capacity Development Coordinator, the Climate Reality Project Philippines. Ayun. And also a course developer and facilitator in the Human Rights Investigation Certification course, European Commission, or GoJust program. And he is a consultant for various trainings and consulting firms. Let us all welcome our guest for today, Mr. Joseph Cubar. Yeah, let's see. Hello, Mr. Joseph. Ayan.
Hello, good afternoon, or almost start outside. Good evening.
Oo, maaga na yung gabi. It's
Yes po.
bare, malapit na ang Pasko. Actually, tagal na ng
Longer
bare
nights,
months.
longer nights na.
Longer nights na tayo. And well, sir, kamusta naman po kayo? How are things doing on your end?
Good, good. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share kung ano mang experience po meron tayo and possibly respond to questions if there are any or comments and hope to share any experience that we have.
Ayun. All right, well, good to hear naman po, sir, that things are going great on your end. And well, uh actually, sir, etong episode na to, medyo special in a way kasi meron tayong announcement maya-maya. Ayan. For the CLDP certification program, magkakaroon po tayo ng big sale. Ayan. So details po will be announced later. So sa mga nanonood po dyan and who would like to be a part of our growing L&D professional family here in the Philippines, abangan nyo po kung paano nyo magagrab yung napakalaking discount. Parang sabay sa mga ano, no, sir? Sabay sa mga online na selling
Ayan,
para
Black Friday ba?
bukas.
Or 11/11?
11-11. Parang ganun. Ayan. So, abangan po natin. But anyways, ayan, let's get to the topic at hand. Sir, well, before we discuss organizational development, I wanted to ask first, paano ba tayo napasok in this industry? Kasi pansin ko, ang haba din ng experience ninyo eh. How did it all started? Ayan.
I'm not sure how really, but I started when I
Mm-hmm.
left college mid. um, I got into medical research immediately
Okay.
kasi
Wow.
mayroon tayong medical ang background actually natin.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then I got into medical research. Then a few years after that, I got into training development because I was tasked to develop a training program for nurses regarding geriatric care. So in care for the aged.
I just,
Okay. And then after that, so nag-start na yung ability to develop mga training programs. And then I got
mm-hmm.
into community building through an NGO, stayed there for about 8 years. Uh, yun, samot-sari ng mga mga training programs na ginagawa, curriculum na dinidevelop. So for youth, for volunteers, for management, for leadership development, and then I got into professional coaching. So we
Mm-hmm.
were the first few people who did professional coaching in the Philippines, and then it's part of a firm that we were hired by top corporations to develop their coaching programs within their company. So mga ano to, mga
Mm.
as in, ayoko na lang magsabi ng brand, pero these are
Sige.
yung mga brand talaga na almost every day nakikita ninyo.
Well-known brands.
Yes,
Ayan.
very
Oh.
well-known brands. So we were involved in that. So doon na nagtuloy-tuloy yung pagde-develop ng
Mm.
mga training programs, delivery ng programs, facilitation
Mm-hmm.
of um, um, uh, mga programs na ginagawa, leadership and management development. And then kasama na rin doon yung consulting part
Mm-hmm.
where kaya pumapasok na tayo sa OD is that we really try to create change in an organization and using the OD process or using OD intervention. Um, we create changes and create strategies within organizations. So, ang experience natin dyan with OD is mga known brands din, pero hindi ko nasasabi.
Sige po. Well, yeah, it's interesting because you said that you started off in the field of medicine.
No, actually nursing.
Nursing, ayun, sorry. So, the original plan for you no kabataan is to go for nursing talaga. And
To go
then,
for medicine actually.
ayun.
Nursing was supposed to be my pre-med. Pero
Mhm.
I think I'm getting where your question. Uh,
Aksidente yung
you,
pagpunta sa
it's not,
training.
oo, medyo although we were developed in nursing to be very, to communicate well, especially
Yeah,
with patients,
that's
to
true.
be facilitative in educating uh, patients, especially in
Mhm.
the community. So we use a lot of training strategies as well.
Mhm.
Uh, para mas mas mai-deliver namin yung messaging namin and communication para mas matuto ang mga patients and communities about health. Uh, at the same time, yung development kasi ng mga nursing skills is that yun, yung resiliency, yung ability to work with people,
Yeah.
ability to work with doctors, ability to work with different kung saan-saan nanggaling yung mga tao, different
Yeah.
power levels. So I think that's a trait na nadala ko into L&D and into OD coming from my educational background. Pero since then, hindi na ako nag-practice ng nursing, tuloy-tuloy
Mhm.
na yung progression into L&D. So I would say na ako po ay tubong galing sa School of Hard Knocks, coming from experience po yung nag-develop sa atin.
Ayun. So yeah, because most of our guests here, no, laging parang nagiging running theme na
Hmm.
if not accidental, wala talaga na siguro naisip pero not necessarily the thing that they pero yun na, good to know how you got into this wonderful industry. Well, you mentioned some things about OD na actually, or organizational development, but of course I wanted to ask or to clarify talaga for our viewers, what is organizational development?
Alright, hindi tayo technical ha. So,
Oh, yeah. And an overview
oh,
siguro, yan.
oo. So coming from the term itself is
Mhm.
developing the organization, aligning your strategies, aligning your people, aligning your
Mhm.
structure, aligning your systems, aligning your culture to make sure that the organization is competitive, to make sure that the organization is still within its objectives or moving forward with its vision, or um, to assess and create interventions if the organization is failing, or if there's a
Mm-hmm.
need for some intervention within the organization. So multidisciplinary actually ang OD, and it's science backed by organizational behavior, organizational psychology,
Mm-hmm.
and it if there's something that you want to change within an organization, it's usually OD that does the interventions. So if
Mm-hmm.
magkaakibat yan always, change management and OD. Kaya if there's something that you need to change within an organization, it's always the OD that helps.
Ayun. Well, usually naman, we try to change something if there's some problems, ika nga. But I think also, it's not a bad, hindi naman lagi siyang bad note eh. It's also if
Mhm.
the company has a develop or has an increase in numbers, let's say, or
Yeah,
sudden growth, ika nga. So
yeah,
OD also comes in, di ba, to guide
yep,
or yeah, to guide the company itself to how do you approach this growth or this
yep.
change in
That's
within the
that's
company.
a
Yun nga.
change in itself, di ba? That's a change in
Mm-hmm.
itself, yung growth. Merong isang sanga si OD.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the structure or ano nga ba tawag? Techno-structural intervention. So ito yung mga tipong if there's a merger or
Mm-hmm.
if there's a split in an organization, like in one experience we had a few years ago, there's this one large corporation, cement corporation that had to uh, split up because yung ano niya, gumawa siya ng shared services. So
Mm-hmm.
for that to happen, it doesn't happen immediately. OD people need to study how it will be done. How is the reorganization going to happen? How is the change going to be managed? How is the communication going to be rolled out? So ganun yung proseso with the OD. And yeah, yung structural could be if you want to change your organizational structure, you want to create a new department, you want to expand. Like we had an experience also before that the organization started with 50 people, but they had to expand to 500 within 3 months, 6 months. So malaking expansion, malaking change ang nangyayari. Another thing that could happen is that maybe there's a shift in focus. Like
Uh-huh.
if we had experience as well before of a construction service
Company.
delivery company
Uh-huh.
lang. Construction ginagawa niya, pero nag-shift siya into condominium building.
Uh-huh.
So that's a change. So all of the departments need to be prepared
Yeah.
para doon sa ganung klaseng change.
I see. Ayun. Well, yeah, organizational development is there, ika nga, to guide any changes. Kasi, I think sometimes iniisip din na, ay, nagpapa-OD kasi may problema. That's
No.
not necessarily the case,
Yes.
I believe, when it comes to OD or when consulting for help from OD consultants. Ayan. And, well, kaya natin na napag-usapan dito sa Trainers Lounge yung ODS, it's often if not always, it's often ano, 'di ba? Linked hand in hand with training and development. So, how does it differ naman ba from training and development?
Okay. Uh, Tayo sa training and development, we are mostly guided by a set of skill set we need to target or a set of competencies that we need to develop to our in our people, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
And guess who made those competencies? It came from an OD
Um,
intervention.
mhm.
Competency framework in itself is an OD intervention. It and yun yung nagiging basihan natin for our training, right? For our TNA, for
Mhm.
our metrics, for our assessment, individual assessment, for the learning needs. It's our basihan then for our performance management. So if I would connect OD with L&D or with training and development,
Training.
doon sila nag-overlap. Mostly doon nag-overlap. Uh, Kasi yung the intervention of skills building within the organization, or uh, kasi nga 'di ba meron changes na mangyayari. So if there's a
Mm-hmm.
need for uh, staff, for personnel to develop further, then we would create competency matrices for it. We would create a performance system for it. And L&D comes into the picture, helps the whole organization deliver that competency framework. So through
Mm-hmm.
training, through coaching, through mentoring, di ba? So
Ayun.
doon sila nag-overlap.
So, can we say that parang si OD ang in a general overview, si OD
Mhm.
ang planning and then si training ang implementation in a way. Parang siya yung mag-a-apply.
Mhm. So both of them are strategic, pero I would
Mm-hmm.
say that OD is a strategy that is management driven. So from top going to
Diba?
the top down,
Mm-hmm.
and L&D would be more operational. So
Ayun.
how would you operationalize yung mandate ni management? So dun sila nagmi-meet.
Ayun. Well, now how about yung similarities? So I believe it's with development, pero siguro mga nitty-picky stuff. Ano yung mga similarities naman nila? Like if you're from OD and if you're from training and development, what are the similar things that you would expect?
An OD person can also does L&D. An OD person
Ayun.
does training as well.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of interventions that uh, L&D is that are there are a lot of interventions that are specific to OD
Mhm.
that L&D may not be able to implement, di ba? Kasi ano pa yan, iba't ibang sometimes ka ano yan eh, kaakibat ng OD is si HR. So iba pa rin yung systems ni HR compared sa systems for
Mhm.
L&D, right? So
Oo.
those are the differences. Pero yung similarity nila is that we always make use of facilitation. We are very facilitative
Mhm. Mhm.
because we facilitate meetings, we facilitate interviews, we facilitate FGDs. So we are still very facilitative. So I think that's something in common. Um, OD mindset would always be about development, and L&D people are always about development. Maybe yung L&D, ang focus is development of a person or a group of people, but OD ang mindset is development of the organization through,
Ah,
but also through developing people.
yeah.
Okay, so pwede
Of
rin
course.
ganun yung mindset.
Yung
So
mindset
nag-aano
niya.
rin yan, nag-jive din yung dalawa in that sense. Ano pa ba? Yeah, being facilitative, and both of us are very curious. Both of us really want to push the uh, push the strategy forward. Yeah.
Mhm. Ayun. Well, based on your experience, you started off with training, sorry, 'di ba? Hindi naman OD agad. What made the shift? Ayan, tanong lang. Or what pushed you to take the leap from training to OD? Do you remember the exact
Hindi
moment?
naman kung tutuusin, bread and butter ko pa rin ang training.
Oo.
Yun pa rin ang bread and butter ko. So once in a while, once or twice a year, we would have OD projects. We could involve in OD projects.
Mhm.
I think it's not really for me. It's not really a jump from one to the other. It's more of I got involved along the way in OD,
Mm.
so it's just a natural progression. Na I would learn I would also learn about OD and make it part of my toolbox, kumbaga, or things that I offer or things that I do. So, and they do go hand in hand. Kasi,
Mhm.
when after doing the consultancy work, then let's say, oh, these are the competencies, or these are the things that you need to do, these are the training programs that need to be done. Well, sino ba naman gagawa ng training program? Tayo na rin, di
Oo
ba?
nga naman, oo
Mga
nga
gano'n.
naman. True, true. I agree with
Oo,
that. Well, I actually asked that because maya-maya, actually, wait, I have a question regarding
sure.
dyan sa mga training professionals tulad natin na nasa industry ng L&D. And baka naisip na, paano kaya lumipat sa OD? Pero yan, later we'll touch base on that. But before natin ituloy, ayan po sa ating mga viewers dyan, if you have any questions or would like to share your opinions, uh, please do so. Just comment them down here. And of course, abangan po ninyo maya-maya ang ating announcement for our big sale. Ayan. Well, going back to the topic at hand, Sir Joseph, I'd like to ask as well, on your experience, when do you need to do organizational development? Or when do we tap someone for OD? Well,
Um,
kanina nagkaroon na tayo ng konting overview like changes. But like specifically, can you give us some of the common things na nangyayari sa company for them to push for OD?
okay. Uh, Simplest answer to that, if there's going to be a change happening.
Mm-hmm.
So always think of it as something that would happen to the organization. So it's a development for an organization. So go with OD. Most large organizations, multinationals, would have internal OD. They have their own
Mm-hmm.
people who would handle that. But mm, there are most organizations naman or most companies, especially in the Philippines, wala masyado yung internal OD, but they do consult OD practitioners. From the very beginning, I think you can involve OD already because if you're going to start a company, going to
Mm-hmm.
start an organization, you would think of how are you going to structure it, how are you going to develop your teams, how are you going to what kind of departments are you going to create. Yung question na lang ng what's your strategic plan,
Ayun.
'di ba? Even
Strategic
the way we
planning.
create strategic planning is an OD intervention as well, 'di ba?
It's
So you
another
involve
form,
an
parang
yes.
ganun.
So you involve an OD person to help you to guide the management or the people in the organization to create their strategies. So your VMGs, your objectives, yun, yung mga ganon. So from the very beginning, crafting of your strategic plan pala, you can involve OD already. And then of course your talent development,
Mm-hmm.
you want to create your competency framework, your performance management program, even your comp and ben, di ba? HR administration natin, even your comp and ben is hooked onto the competency framework, yung mga ganon. So any step of the way,
Mm-hmm.
you can involve OD or have an OD hat. I'm not saying you need to consult with an OD person immediately, so
Mm-hmm.
long as you have an OD perspective. Okay, think of it na if you're the executive, put on an OD hat. Think of it that this is a change that's going to happen, a development in my organization. So what kind of changes would happen, and how would I handle it? Can I do it internally by myself or within the organization, within my management team, or do I need to involve an OD person into it? Same thing din naman yung mangyayari. First, you're going to assess. You're going to
Uh-huh.
look into your organization, ano ba yung kailangan, di ba? And then you
What's the
create your
current
plan.
situation?
Yes. Or you want to benchmark with other organizations within your industry, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Even benchmarking is an OD intervention in itself. Okay. So, maganon. You get to involve OD people as well if you want to implement the system. For example, sa HR, di ba, meron tayong if you want to implement if you want to create a succession plan, di
Uh-huh.
ba? A succession plan is also an OD intervention. So you get to
Mm-hmm.
involve people, OT people there as well. So ano pa ba? Even a team building program is an OD
Yeah.
intervention. Yun siguro ang isa ring baka naiisip ng mga L&D people that uh, team building is a training program. actually team building is a culture building program. So it's more of an OD intervention rather than a training intervention. So even a team building program requires or you can involve OD people already.
Ayun. Well, speaking of the different forms, no, ayun nga, things like benchmarking, yung strategic planning are all parts of OD. So, in a way, malawak din siya, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It has a large scope, but at the same time, I think it all leads to a certain goal, which is to develop the company or the entity. Ayan. Pero you mentioned that stakeholders or yung mga CEOs or yung mga managers can also do their own no, not necessarily that they have to hire an OD consultant every time, tama po ba?
Mm-hmm.
Ayan. So I think nandun na rin yung next question ko. If we are to do OD, ayan, what are the skills that are often needed for one if for one who wishes to do organizational development?
Um, First and foremost, you need to be someone, yung a person we call a change agent.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is very familiar with change or how change happens. So there are a lot of models for change. So how does it happen within an organization? Another skill set or competency that needs to be there. So somehow you have an acumen for the business or for the industry. You don't need to be an expert within the industry, especially if you're a consultant. But you need to know somehow how it works. You have an experience within that industry. What else? You need to be very curious kasi um, it's more of ano yan, discovery yan eh. Kapag
Actually, yeah.
nag-a-assess tayo, it's a discovery of, this is what's happening. Kasi you're going to diagnose it. That's the second step. Is diagnose the organization. In diagnosing, you just have to gather data. You do a lot of interviews. You do a lot of FGDs. You do a lot of key people interviews, and then you create your surveys. You compute your stats. So it's all about really being open to whatever you see, rather than looking for specific things. Yeah, you can look for specific things, pero be open to whatever it is that's going to kung ano yung tumambad sa iyo, good or bad, within the organization. So keep that curiosity open.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Ano pa ba yung mga you're asking ano yung mga skill set and
Oh,
competencies,
like
right?
if one wishes to do OD or wants to enter the world of OD, ano yung mga skill sets na usually needed? Ayan.
Yeah, you need project management skills. Okay,
Okay?
kasi it's a project. The whole
Yes, tama.
process is a project. So you need to know project. But the thing is, usual consulting for OD it's not done by one person. It's
Uh-huh.
done by multiple people. So you may not be the project manager. Someone else is the project manager. You can be a process owner. You can have one part, like if you're in the diagnostic part, or if you're in the structural development part. So maraming ano yon, maraming components pa na pwedeng i-create. Depende lang yon kung ano yung mga components na bubuin within the project. So knowledge about data collection and analysis, definitely kailangan yon. Skills in managing, of course, emotional intelligence, business
Mm-hmm.
acumen, sabi ko kanina, the ability to communicate and collaborate and to facilitate. So yeah, that's a very big, yung communication, collaboration, facilitation, napakalaking bagay para sa para sa isang OD practitioner.
Mm. So that's why you mentioned nga kanina, most of the time OD is done by a team. Tama. Of course.
Yes.
Ayun. So I think yeah, it's really important to know as well how well you can work with others kasi Ang hirap nga naman eh, no? Ang hirap nga naman if you're going to attack it as a single unit or mag-isa ka lang. So you need other people to look into teams. And speaking of teams din or pagpasok into OD, yung mga career opportunities ba natin sa OD, do they differ as well? Like, are there hierarchies as well with the positions or meron ba tayong starting? How does one start his career or her career in OD?
Um, Most of the people that I have worked with
Mm-hmm.
uh, in projects, they are already seasoned executives. So I
Ah,
think it's important to have that experience in handling people, the
mm-hmm.
experience of understanding process and understanding how a business or how an organization works. Kasi we look into processes. Eh. We want to improve process. We need to understand how it works. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
How one department works with another department. How one person works with another person. So how the whole thing works, kumbaga. Ano yung mga gears and how do they turn? Ano yung mga power structure? So these are things that yeah, you can study them in school, but it is for me, it's better learned as part of your experience. So most of the people I've worked with are were seasoned executives already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are schools that you could get into. You could get diploma courses
Oh,
uh,
okay.
for OD. You can start with that as well. Pero it's, I mean, sila rin mismo magsasabi sa iyo that you need to have management
Experience.
experience. Oo. Tapos, so, what else? Yon, the ability to communicate, the ability to manage people, to handle projects, ano pa. So, ito yung mga kailangan dala-dala mo na if you want to get into OD. Pero it's if you if you think about it, if you get
Mm-hmm.
into consulting halimbawa, usually it's not hindi naman naka-specify sa project that this is an OD project. Usually naka-specify sa project, we want to create a performance management system. Diba?
Okay.
So if you are an HR person and you're familiar with performance management systems and you understand a bit of, if you understand the process, you understand how it works, you have a bit of executive experience already, then you can get into it as well. Yun yung mga ano, yung mga criteria for ano, for if you want to get into the project,
Uh-huh.
di ba? Yung mga minimum ano, minimum criteria. So as long as there's a specific specific project that needs a
Mm-hmm.
specific deliverable, okay? And if you have a bit of expertise into it, or you have competence in it, then you can try to get into that. It's good also to be involved with firms. Kasi usually yung firms ano yan, multidisciplinary teams. So maybe the
Iba-iba yung
whole
expertise.
Yes, iba-iba expertise. So maybe the whole project is we're going to uh, create a new organization. So maybe that's the project, the whole project. Pero napakalaking project nun. And what the firm would do is divide that into specifics. So hahanapin mo ngayon, nasaan yung expertise mo. So what Lego piece are you? So if you get involved in that, then and you were successful in creating your component and the firm is successful in delivering the project, then you can say that you have already experienced within an OD team uh, to that's part of your ano already, that's part of your background, it's part of your bag of tools already, then you can move some more into the other components of OD. Ang madalas
Okay.
na
Mm-hmm.
ang usual entry point for in my experience, in my experience, The usual entry point for OT practitioners would be team building programs or training or developing a training program. So all of this, kapag nakapasok ka na doon sa like, nag-create ka ng isang team building program or you were involved in a team building program, usually organizations would look into your firm as well para mag-develop ng other projects. Kasi na-build mo na yung culture eh.
Oh yeah.
Okay? Na-build mo na yung culture. No, remember, when I say team building program, this is not the event type of team building program. Ha? This is the talagang long
Ayan.
lang
So ano
tayo
lang ko,
ha.
tawag dito,
Hindi siya events based,
opo,
okay? Ito yung
pasintabi ho sa mga nanonood, hindi
opo,
po
opo.
inuman ng team building, hindi po swimming.
Yes, yes. So, yung engagement, kumbaga,
Oh
employee
yeah,
engagement process. So,
it
yung,
needs to be
yung
there.
ganong klase. Pero the inuman is part of it. The event
Oo,
is
in a
part
way.
of it. But it's a small component of the whole process.
Yeah.
So, yun yung usual entry point ng mga ng mga OD. And then, nagde-develop na lang sila the more projects they get into.
The more projects, the more experience they get, no? Ika nga.
Yes.
I see.
The
So
more
in
chances of winning.
so I guess in this industry or sa OD, no, experience is paramount. I think it's very
Yes.
important, no. Kasi oo nga naman, looking into it, if you're going to give your consultancy services, you need to have experience. Kasi definitely they'll have questions. Definitely each project will be different. Definitely each company will have their own unique set of problems. And if you want to get into OD, I think it's best if you experience those problems beforehand.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
You may not even be part of the industry. It's good if you're part of the industry, but
Uh-huh.
if you are not even part, it's fine as long as you can deliver the requirement, and as long as you have this kasi as consultants naman, 'di ba, when you have your consultants hat, ano yan eh, process ang thinking natin, right? So if you understand
Okay,
the
sa bagay.
process, if you understand the process, ano yun, pwede mong gamitin yon as part of your of your tawag dito, credential or as part of your tools para ma-deliver mo yung project. But it helps if you have experience already.
Experience.
Kaya if you have experience already, that problem or that specific component ng, ng change.
Ayun. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing those. Now, I wanted to talk about naman the current situation of OD. Ayan.
Mm-hmm.
Alam naman natin na yung nangyari within the past few years na actually with the pandemic. Pero siguro before we go with the effects of pandemic, ano naman yung mga current trends or mga recent trends when it comes to OD?
Well,
Well, based on your experience, ano yung mga naging trends ngayon? Ano yung mga nauso na strategies? Meron ba nagbago sa industry within the past couple of years?
I think major na nagbago is that a lot of companies closed or a lot of companies um, well, there are a lot of companies who changed. Even the big ones, ang
Mm,
laki nung pagbabago nila. Like restaurant industry, nag-iba sila, di ba?
yeah.
Uh,
Most of them had to close down for a couple of
yes, most of
months.
them had to close down. Pero ito, if you are a very large organization,
Mm,
even the process of closing down, ang laking ano nun, ang laking
loss.
yes, ang laking loss, ang laking process, ang laking change, di ba? So yung internal OD nila, talagang ano yon, gumagalaw sila para doon sa change na mangyayari. Kasi it's a change for employees as well. Di ba? Ang daming layoff, ang daming departments na magko-close. So um, how would the organization handle this? Of course, their internal OD would help as well. Or maybe they got the services of an OD consultant. Kasi it's a big change for them. Okay. What else? Maybe there's been a lot of mergers as well. More now kasi 'di ba syempre one organization might sell themselves to other organizations to save their to save the brand maybe. So even mergers kailangan meron yung OD intervention because it's a big change as well. Um, ano pa ba? So yun yung mga nakikita ko na na change. Ang daming movements within different industries. So yung
Mm-hmm.
mga movements na yun would entail services of OD people, whether internal or external personnel. In terms of training naman, halimbawa, kung ang component ng OD na intervention is about training and development or development ng mga training programs, yun lang, nawalan tayo ng face-to-face. We transferred to a
Mm-hmm.
different platform.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yung process of facilitation ay nag-iba. During
Sabagay.
during naman, yes, during assessment period or during the assessment portion ng say if one is involved already in an OD project, so yung assessment part niya or yung diagnostic component before nagkaka face-to-face interview, before merong field observation na ginagawa. Ngayon yun, hindi na ginagawa masyado yun. So yun yung I think one of the difficulties that happened is that nawalan yung opportunity for field observation um,
Oo nga naman. I think
and
and that's
interaction
also
with
on.
people.
Oh, and that's a very big part of doing OD is you immerse yourself or you really
Mm.
expose yourself to the field, to the actual scenario of what's happening in the company. And o nga naman, ang hirap i-analyze kung ano yung kailangan mong i-analyze if you can't even go there. Ika nga. Well, how about how did the industry itself overcame this challenge? Meron ba mga naging bago? Well, I think nandyan na yung Zoom.
Mhm.
Nandyan na yung virtual ano. But are there any adjustments of or adaptive actions that the industry took when we had to go home and had to stay inside?
I think mas nagkaroon lang. It's just a change of platform. Nag-iba lang yung
Change the
platform.
platform.
Oo,
Mm-hmm.
nag-iba lang yung platform. And maybe um, group processes became different. Depende, of course, how many people you can manage or you can facilitate within your uh, your Zoom window, di ba? Yung mga ganon. Ilan ang kaya mo ma-handle within for your interviews. Kasi dati-rati kapag face-to-face, halimbawa, you can have about 10 people, 15 people
All
at the
at
same time
once.
for your FGTs.
Mm-hmm.
Pero pag ang hirap i-manage noon, especially for intense group facilitation. Now, this is diagnostics, ah. Hindi
Mm-hmm.
siya training situation. So, diagnostic situation ito. What else? So, I think it's just a change of platform and calibration of things that of targets, calibration of the process that we do. Yun lang yung observations medyo na ano yon na curtail. Pero you can compensate that naman with a lot of key informant interviewing.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I think this will be my last question for the topic. Any any suggestions from you or parang pieces of advice for those who wants to enter the industry?
For those who want to enter the industry, grabe no, ako mag-advise.
Well, from your experience, like what can they expect, ganyan, or what
Yeah,
can they look forward to?
gain a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, try to get yourself into a lot of change processes within your organization right now. So if you're in a big or medium or even small industry, try to look for opportunities for you to apply yourself, for you to create systems within your organization, experience that. Um, if there's a call for individuals within your organization to help out, do that. Because the more experience and the more diverse your your skill sets are, the better your view of the whole process within your business. What else? Like I said, be open minded and be curious. How does this work go, or what's the process within this department? What's the interrelationship um, between this person and that position. Yung
Mm-hmm.
mga ganon. Try to understand why your HR does what it does. Uh, Look into your competency framework. If you have a competency framework, try to find out why is it developed that way, or how do you follow it for how do you follow your competency framework. Yung mga ganon. Be curious about
Mm-hmm.
the systems that you have. So that's part of your knowledge building. If you have the opportunity and you have the wherewithal to go to school, uh, by all means go. Pero kung hindi, yeah, experience will be more valuable. In my opinion, experience is more valuable. If you could get into a an OD team within the firm, like for example, if kayo, Kevin, your company would have OD projects, you
Mm-hmm.
could do an open call for people, di ba? You could do an
Uh,
open call for people to get involved. So yung mga ganon, look out for firms na baka merong open call for,
Partnership opportunities, things like
yes,
that.
partnership opportunities, or yeah, even yung mga employment opportunities na yun. So I think that's how you would prepare. Pero I don't think of it as an industry by itself. Kasi anywhere you look, it's there, di ba? There's always change happening, and there's always a need for an audit. Pero yeah, it's not necessarily a jump into an industry. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
you can get involved within that sphere as well, even if you are within your own industry. Okay.
Ayun. All right. Well, thank you so much for clarifying some questions about the organizational development and also sharing your experience and insights about
I
OD. Well,
I hope merong natutunan na kahit
ay
paano
sigurado
sa
meron dyan.
pag-share.
Sigurado meron dyan. Well, for our viewers who were with us today, thank you so much for listening on us. And if you missed some of the parts of our episode today, pwede nyo pong balikan. All of our videos are posted sa Facebook page namin. That's CLDP Philippines page. And also sa aming YouTube channel, Circa Logical Group. And sir, before we end our episode for today, any things that you would like to share to promote on your end?
Nothing much. I just want to say thank you very much again for listening. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And yeah, if you have a need for um, or if you have projects, let me know. Or for training development, for yeah, OD intervention, assessments, gap, any analysis that you need or development that you might have, let me know through Kevin or through my message me. Siguro naman makikita na nila kung, kung
Ayan, sa
sino.
Facebook at saka sa LinkedIn. Tama.
Yeah, oh,
Ayun.
so let me know.
So,
Sige.
for those who would like to connect with Sir Joseph, ayan, search nyo lang po ang name niya sa Facebook or sa LinkedIn. That's Joseph Cubar. And ayan, again, thank you so much, sir. Hopefully, next time we can have another topic to discuss here sa ating show.
Sure.
Again, maraming salamat po and keep safe always. All right, and that was Mr. Joseph Cubar sharing his insights and experience about OD. And so, sabi ko nga kanina at the start of the show, malaki ang parang shared insights of training and OD. I think at the end of the day, both aims to develop a company or an entity for the better. Ayan. And as I said earlier, also in the show, we are announcing something for the upcoming batches of the CLDP, specifically po sa sale. So, mamaya pong midnight, let's say, sakto sa 11:11. And so we are going to have a big sale for the upcoming batches of the CLDP certification program. So stay tuned po kayo. This is a one-day event only. So if you missed it, pasensya na ho. But as I said, abangan nyo ho mamayang midnight. We will open up our promotion and for the discount of CLDP. To know more, abangan nyo lang po yung aming post sa aming Facebook page, that's CLDP Philippines. Search nyo lang po yan sa Facebook and hopefully makakuha kayo sa mga limited slots namin of big discounts. So if you want to be a CLDP and medyo tight sa budget, this might be the good time to check it out. Ayan, magandang pamasko din yan para sa sarili, no? Professional development as a gift for yourself. All right, well, that's all for me today. Again, I'm Kevin, and thank you so much for joining in the show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. This is the Trainers Lounge. See you next time. Bye.